sharing Jesus. We go further together.
Welcome to Westside Anywhere. If you're watching live or checking us out after the fact on demand, we want to let you know that you are welcome here. We love giving shout-outs to everyone joining us from all around the globe. So if you're watching us live, now is the perfect time to let us know in the chat or comments where you're watching from, because church is a family, and church is better together no matter where you are or what time zone you're in. We are God's family, loving Jesus, becoming like Jesus, and sharing Jesus to raise up Christ-centered families in our city and beyond by wrapping God's family around your family. One of the ways we invite people into the Westside family is by having you share this video right now. Share with your circle of friends, coworkers, and family to join us today.
Hey, Westside Anywhere. I feel like a lot of us know what it is to be unseen, and a lot of that is circumstantial, but when you're holding a super cute puppy, it's really easy to be seen. But we're going to jump into the story of Sarah this week, and I'm so excited. So you guys get into worship, and I'm going to sit right here with Remy for a little bit.
Worship the Lord together. The weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve only have triumph. My God will never fail. Oh my God, He'll never fail. That will say it. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Yeah. There's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war He wages, He will win. I'm not backing down from any giant. I know how the story ends. Yes, I know how the story ends. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Yeah, yeah, yeah. God is faithful to fulfill His promises over your life. Don't give in or don't give up. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. Yeah. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. Come on, declare that in the atmosphere. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yeah, you turn it for good. Yeah, you take that's in the room and online, I want you to do me a favor. I need you to shout out, I've got the victory. Say it just a little bit louder. I've got the victory. Clap your hands if you know it and you're proud to show it. Go ahead and have your seats. There's a word prepared for your heart.
Hey everyone, welcome to Westside. Whether you're online or on site, we would love to meet you. Our goal here is to help raise up Christ-centered families in Kansas City and beyond by wrapping God's family around your family. If this is your first time with us in person, we have a gift for you. Scan the New Here QR code on the back of the seat in front of you and fill out the form. Then, after the service, look for the green banner in the Connection Center to collect your gift and join us for a quick meet and greet called Westside in 4. You'll learn 4 things about Westside in 4 minutes and discover how you can get connected. For those of you gathering with us online, we want to meet you and we have a gift for you too. Look for a link in the comments below to connect with us.
Hold up. What's that? Too early to talk about Christmas, you say? Well, I beg to differ. Did you know that Christmas is only 41 days away? I hope you've started your list. And by list, I mean who you're inviting to celebrate Christmas at Westside. Studies show 80% of people will say yes to a church holiday invitation. Cool, huh? So this year, you will find every Christmas event has your friends in mind, which makes it an easy ask for you and an easy yes for them to take steps towards Jesus and community. On your way out today, pick up a handful of invitations and share them throughout the season. Deliver them with a plate of cookies or a bag of popcorn. Here's a sneak peek of what's in store.
Westside's kickoff to Christmas is an all-new, family-centered celebration this year. On Saturday, December 4th, bring your family and friends to Westside Lenexa at 5 p.m. sharp. Don't be late because we'll flip the switch on a Griswold-style Christmas light display. As you bask under the twinkling lights by the fire and celebrate the light of the world, you'll make lasting memories with a variety of activities. This event is for the entire Westside family and our entire community, so start inviting today. You can sign up to serve or get more information at westsidefamily.church/kickoffchristmas.
Remember last year when we all watched those awesome Christmas movies together and Pastor Randy suddenly appeared on set and helped us find the true meaning of Christmas in those holiday classics? Remember how fun that was? Didn't you love the hot cocoa and popcorn? Yeah, me too. Well, I have some great news. Christmas at the movies is back. Beginning December 5th, Pastor Randy brings us a few new holiday classics with a Jesus spin each Sunday morning. Grab your tickets today and share them with your friends and family because Christmas is too good to keep to ourselves. Get all the details and share at westsidefamily.church/Christmas.
We're going back to the simplicity of that beautiful silent night when Christ was born, with traditional candlelight Christmas Eve gatherings December 23rd and 24th. We want our guests to feel welcomed and cared for when they visit, so plan to attend one with a friend and serve at another. Get all the details at westsidefamily.church/Christmas.
Every year, we fill our Lenexa and Speedway campuses with warmth and cheer as we decorate for Christmas. Would you like to help? Text DECOR to 855-674-0709, and our team will get you all the details.
Well, if that doesn't fire you up, I don't know what will. How are you, Westside? Great to be with you. Online community, hello, Speedway campus. This is fun. I want to jump right into a quote that a client of mine shared. This is something she has posted in her office. Check this picture out. Tell me if it doesn't make sense to you. Growth and comfort do not coexist. They don't go together. This makes sense, doesn't it? You go to the gym, do growth and comfort. Do they coexist? Academics, growth and comfort go together. Marriage? Right? I mean, when does that ever work? And what's more uncomfortable than this, the Uncharted journey, where you go, there's no map for this. There's no GPS for this. This is not something I've ever done or thought I would enter into, right? And there's all sorts of examples, but you just think about it, it's like, okay, well, you're comfortable here, but then you take your first step, or that step comes to you, and the hope is that on the other side, you're gonna come out having a little bit experienced enough to become actually a different person. Growth and comfort, they don't coexist, and you go on this uncharted journey in between, and for all of us, this could look different. Maybe you lived in one city where you were known and everything felt comfortable, and then you were called and relocated to a new one where you know nobody. Maybe you were single, you really liked your singleness, and you were kind of on cruise control, but then you met somebody and they were interested. The next thing you know, you say, I do. Growth and comfort do not coexist. Maybe you had 11-year-old daughters who really liked having you around, and soon they're 14. It's an uncharted journey. Maybe you were married, and now you're single again. And not by your choosing. Maybe you were healthy and there's symptoms that have led to a diagnosis. Maybe you've had your life and you were comfortable in it, but you know it really wasn't working, and you've heard about following Jesus, and you know there's this uncharted journey to go, what would it look like to actually begin to practice faith in following him? All of us find ourselves in one way or another in an uncharted journey right here, right now. What is it for you? What uncharted journey are you on? Just want you to think about that. Now, collectively, we're all going to go on one together. As recent and as soon as on the 28th of this month, for example, we're going to come together for our Thanksgiving offering. One of the things that we celebrate together and have always cherished, we go, God, we want to go on this, and it's going to require financial commitments, and it's going to take this uncharted journey to go across it. And then in January, if you listen to Pastor Randy's sermon last week, which was absolutely fantastic, where he kicked this whole series off, in January, in the first part of February, we're going to go on 40 days of prayer and fasting to seek individually for us, what is that uncharted journey? And then collectively, God, what do you have for us that you want us to go off script, off grid, in an uncharted space? And my wife and I, we were praying about it. Actually, she was the one that started praying, and her prayer sounded like this. She said, God, I know Pastor Randy's called us on this uncharted journey, and we want to really kind of think, what is that for us? Now, remember, God, we just went on an uncharted journey. So, unless we hear otherwise, we're just going to assume we're good for now because you just want us to chill. And we just both laugh because that's the natural tendency, isn't it? Just say, oh, no, please, no, I don't want any more uncharted journeys. Because we really can believe two storylines about this uncharted journey. And one is that it's just completely futile. There's no purpose in it, right? And the other is that it's actually going to be really fruitful, no matter how hard it might be. And in fact, if you played those two storylines out and you looked at this word uncharted and you said, well, let's just say this is an acronym for it. Well, the futile storyline goes a little bit like this: unnecessary, unsure, uncertain, completely helpless, anxiety-ridden, total epic disaster. You know, we can believe that. Or if we believe that God's in it and it's fruitful, we look at this and we go, well, yeah, it's unpredictable, but it is catalytic, and it's hope-filled, And there's a sense of adventure to it. It's redemptive because God is in it. Now it's tender because it could be painful. It could hurt along the way, but it is eternal. And dang, God, why do I keep second guessing you all this time? I always go, yeah, God, you're always faithful. But this time, if you could just show me just a little bit more, that'd be really helpful. Dang, God, you got street cred with me. Dang, God, my hindsight has always been your foresight. Dang, God, what felt uncharted, you've always held to the course. And what's the difference between the two things? What's the difference between total epic disaster and God, you're in this and it's going to be fruitful? Well, we find it right here in the scriptures. We're looking in this series Uncharted at Hebrews chapter 11, which is considered the Hall of Faith chapter, looking at there are 16 different people from the Bible, from history, that have gone on this uncharted path. We're only looking really at 4 of them. Out of the 16, 2 of them are women, and today we're going to look at one such person named Sarah. But right out of the gate, we see in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, what's the difference between going, this is going to be futile, or this is going to be fruitful? It's faith. Now, faith, verse 1, grab your Bibles, grab your Westside apps. Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. That's the difference. That's what bridges the difference between the two. We're confident for what we hope for is on the other side, and we're convicted about what we do not see, but we're just going to keep walking in it. And actually, that's what Sarah did. It says here in verse 11, and by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she considered him faithful who had made the promise. So even Sarah, way past the age of being able to bear children, she considers him, namely God, faithful, who had given the promise. Now, what's the promise? Now, what Hebrews 11 is like, it's a little bit like watching Marvel Comics Endgame, where there's all of these characters and they're all, doing awesome stuff, but you don't know the backstory. You don't know that there's a canon behind and a storyline for each one of these people. So what's the story for Sarah? What's behind all of this? What's her backstory? Well, the backstory is that she was married to Abraham. We looked at him last week. And Abraham received this promise. What was the promise? In essence, everything that went haywire in the garden, God is going to make good on. He's going to redeem for all time. And it's going to happen through Abraham, his loins, his seed, and through he and Sarah, and through their kids and their kids, that God is going to make good on everything through these 2 people. That is the promise. And there's a problem. The problem is that day after day, month after month, year after year, cycle after cycle, decade after decade, to the point where the scriptures say their bodies were as good as dead, they were unable to have a child, to fulfill this promise. Now, can you imagine the pressure? This God-sized, eternally redemptive dream being bottlenecked in Sarah's womb. That in her barrenness, she is the bottleneck to God's purposes. The truth is that a lot of us can relate to that, can't we? The pain of infertility runs so deep. It's so quiet, that pain. It's so invisible, that pain. And the pain that is carried in that place is, in my barrenness, I'm the bottleneck to my own dreams, to the dream of my spouse, to my parents and my in-laws' dreams, to well-wishers and well-intended friends who want to know why still haven't we had kids. All those things we just carry right here. And I just want to tell you right out of the gate, if this is your particular uncharted journey, I just want you to know a few things. One is that today, this message, this service is not a message of, cheer up, buck up, camper. It's not about being victorious in the Lord. We're not going to tell you that if you just had more faith, you would have a child. And we're certainly not going to tell you that it's by your lack of faith that you don't have a child. And we're not going to tell you that while we passionately believe in foster care and in adoption, we're not going to tell you, well, why don't you just adopt? Or just don't stress so much and your body will relax. We're not going to tell you those things. You've heard that before. And we know where it lands. We also know that the pain of this journey isn't just about infertility. It's about your whole journey and all of you in it. And so our commitment to you here in this moment is simply that we want to talk about whatever the fruit is God is after in your life and journey, regardless of what that means of having a baby or not having a baby. We want to talk about what does it look like for Jesus to meet us in all the places and spaces of the journey that we're on, no matter what that journey is. And you know what's so confusing about it? What's so confusing about the Uncharted journey, whether it's fruitful or futile? The circumstances actually look the same. I mean, the circumstances are, it's a mess. It's not like linear. It's not sequential. You can't put the Uncharted journey into a Gantt chart. It's not an EOS system that you can just manage. You can't project manage your way through the Uncharted journey because there's all sorts of roadblocks. There's all sorts of 2 steps forward and 3 back and people and things and disruptions and roadblocks and things feel kind of upside down and sideways and you just don't know what to do and you're angry at people and you wish that you had some form of recourse, but you don't. And you're left to just walk through this journey. The circumstances looking the same. Struggling like Sarah to say, is this going to be fruitful? Or is this just a painful, futile waste of time? And when you walk through it, so many other parts of your life come to the surface in it. That was true for Sarah. See, the pain for Sarah wasn't just infertility, though that was painful. Number one, Sarah was uprooted. What was a promise to Abraham was made only to Abraham. But if you look at Genesis chapter 12, what we'll see is that Sarah wasn't there for that promise. What we'll see is that this promise of you're going to become a great nation and all the nations of the world will be blessed through you, that happened to Abraham. And so Abraham comes back, and as best we can see, presumably, he just comes to Sarah and says, pack up. We're leaving all you've ever known, all you've ever cared about, all you've ever had. And what would have been culturally appropriate in that day would have been not to have processed with his wife, but just to have told her, here's what we're doing. We're going to a land. Well, where are we going? Well, apparently God's going to show us. And she didn't have any voice in the matter. She was uprooted. Do you think that would impact your journey? Do you think that would impact your journey? Do you think you'd carry that down in the deep parts of your soul, of having everything taken from you? I think we would. Another part of her journey is that she was abandoned. Just a little bit later on in Genesis chapter 12, they're going to now have to meander in and out through different territories under the provinces of different kings. They end up in Egypt, and Abraham knows that he has a beautiful wife on his hands. And what if the Pharaoh has his eye drawn to her? What's he going to do? He's going to go for her and take out him. That's just the way it goes. So what does Abraham do? He comes up with a little scheme. And he comes to Sarah, his wife, and he says, hey, on the technicality, we're actually half siblings. So if anyone asks, I'm your brother. And he literally says it this way. I hate how this comes out. Verse 13, chapter 12. He says to his wife, say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. At least the way that translates, a little bit self-serving and kind of wimpy, if you ask me. So now Sarah is feeling not only uprooted, but she's feeling abandoned. And it happens twice. They go into a different land under King Abimelech, and he does it again. Twice she's abandoned, unprotected by the man that she was betrothed to. Do you think that would get you down deep in your heart and soul? And then we see that Sarah's just hurt. And in her hurt, she does what you and I do when we're hurt. We blame, we try to take control, take things back into our own hands. And there's something in us that wants others to hurt if we're hurt as well. And so look with me here, what Sarah does. Genesis chapter 16. She goes to Abraham, she goes, this whole promise thing's not working out, so let's take matters into our own hands. You take my maidservant Hagar and sleep with her. And Abraham says, okay. And then it works, apparently immediately, which only causes the pain to be worse. And so we look in chapter 16, verse 4. When she knew she was pregnant, she, Sarah, began to despise her mistress. Then Sarah said to Abraham, you are responsible. See the blaming? You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now she knows she is pregnant. She despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me. Abraham says, your slave is in your hands. This is just not shining moments for Abraham. Do with her whatever you think best. Very conflict avoidant. Then Sarah mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. Do you know the phrase, hurt people hurt people? That's what's happening here. She's lashing out. She's trying to take things back into control. She's blaming. She wants others to hurt while she hurts. And we get this, don't we? I mean, the image really is her just going, oh, no. This is not how the journey is going to work. This is not how it's going to look like. Nope. In fact, we're going to order this right back up. So you go there, right? And then you come here, right? And we don't even need this. But if you come right over here, then I'm going to put you right there. And then I need you to kind of do right here, okay? And then you're going to come and do that. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to order this one around, okay? And you're going to be there. And then I need you here. Right? And let's just go ahead and now I think this feels much better. And we've spelled a really interesting word. Kind of looks like a word in Russian, doesn't it? I mean, it's what we do. We try to take matters in our own hands. We blame. We want others to hurt because we hurt. And when you get to that place in your journey, there's not much more that you can do but laugh. And that's what Sarah did. And there's this really fascinating moment as we go a little further in Genesis chapter 18, where three, what appears to be angelic visitors visit. And they come up to Abraham. They're sitting under the great trees of Mamre. And they're having this conversation. And Sarah is eavesdropping inside the tent. And here's how it goes. Where is your wife Sarah? They asked him. There in the tent, he said. Then one of them said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. So Sarah was afraid. So she lied and said, I did not laugh. But God said, yes, you did. This is such a fascinating moment. They appear to be three angelic visitors, then it switches to the Lord speaking. And so if you don't like mystery, don't read the Bible, okay? Because it's a very fascinating moment in Sarah's life where inside the tent, she is laughing alone. In an article from Scientific American, they say this, that solitary laughter, well, laughter has many health benefits. When we laugh alone, it can be ominous. And again, so many of us know that kind of laugh. When you don't know what else to do, when your tears have all dried up. And truthfully, it's been 14 years since I've known that laugh, since my wife and I suffered a miscarriage and what then felt like an eternity of infertility, but now looking back, I'm so much further distant from it. And so I began to think as I was reading this passage, who knows this laugh here and now? And I thought of a friend named Becca. Becca used to be on staff here. She was called to another great church in our city recently. But I just had this snippet. I just had a very faint glimpse that for her and her husband, Andrew, they know this pain, this uncharted journey. They know what that laugh feels like. So I called her up, and one of the things that she shared with me was this description of what it's like to walk on this journey. You know what she called it? She called it a dead space. A dead space where you just don't know what's going on in between here to there. And you don't know, she says, who to blame. But there's just this gap. And you're standing in the howling, wide open spaces, as Annie Dillard would describe it, in the dead space, wondering about your living God. And as I listened to Becca, I just got more and more clear. This isn't just for me to incorporate in my sermon, to share her story, but actually there is an authority that comes from somebody who is in this space. And if they're courageous enough to talk about it, and if the Lord has met them in the midst of it, then they really have something to offer you and me, and Becca does. And I want to just call you here in this moment. I want you just to sit with your uncharted journey. It may not be infertility, but it's something. And as you listen to Becca speaking on behalf of her and her husband, Andrew, I want you to see, hear, and experience, how does God meet us in the dead spaces? And so I'm really grateful for Becca's courage to sit down with me and share this story. Let's watch.
Well, my name is Becca Elward, and our journey started in 2019. I got married in 2018 and started trying for our first child. Got pregnant in March of 2019, and we were so excited. About June, we go in for our first ultrasound, and it was about the 14-week mark, and the doctor was kind of looking at us like, hey, let's go ahead and do like a little bit more of a deeper ultrasound. And so we got sent down to the emergency room, and the ultrasound tech looked at us and said, I'm so sorry, we can't detect a heartbeat. I remember looking at Andrew, and he looked back at me, and then his head just went down, and it just went silent. And that's kind of where the nightmare of infertility began for us. I didn't really have any clue that like miscarriages are even a thing. You know, I kind of heard about it, but I never thought it would be me. I never thought it would be our story. I remember going home, and I lifted my hands up in prayer, and I said, God, what in the world just happened to me? And for the next 8 months, it was kind of this weird moment where we were hoping, we were trying, and nothing was really happening. About $30,000 in, what really happened was at that point, it wasn't just one miscarriage, but at the end of the IVF process, we'd end up losing 6 babies in total. And for me, I don't even think I can really describe that pain. It's kind of like having an open wound with salt being poured on it every single month. Every fertility treatment that didn't work, every time you think it was gonna work and then you knew it worked, but then you would lose it. I just felt like I was getting gifts and then they were ripped away from me. It just felt like a dead space. You know, like I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand why it was happening to me. I didn't know if I was to blame. I didn't know if the doctor was to blame. I just felt like God was just kind of silent in the whole thing too. It was just such uncharted territory for me that it kind of felt like I was in the bottom of a pit. I didn't have a ladder to get out. I didn't know when someone was gonna come and rescue this thing. And so I'm just stuck. And like a dead space just feels like you're stuck. It was Mother's Day. And it was the day that I was gonna find out if one of the fertility treatments had worked or not. So it's gonna be positive or negative. I knew I had to come to the church and work on a Sunday morning. And I remember I found out it was negative and I just collapsed in the wash and dryer room. And I said, Andrew, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I remember Andrew saying, I don't feel like I can do this anymore. He said, Becca, I'm trying to support you and I just don't know how. He said, I wish I knew how to make this better, but I can't. And it's killing me that I can't take this burden from you. And the guy's journey in this is, they're watching their wives struggle in ways that they didn't even know was possible. I remember one time I remember praying, God, why are you being so cruel to me? I loved you. I've given my whole life to you. I've done everything you asked me to do. Why are you withholding this gift from me? It's not that I didn't know that God was good. I know God's good. But how is he going to be good in this? Like, I know God's faithful, but how is he going to prove his faithfulness in this? Like, I remember thinking, am I stupid enough to even hope again? To even dare to believe? And I think that Sarah was just at a point where, she knew she was past her years. She knew that this thing was probably over. And then someone just speaks those words. And I can almost feel the wrestle, like the tension of like, do I even try to hope one more time? Like, do I dare believe that this thing isn't over yet? And I think the laugh is like, it's almost like an exhale of years of built up exhaustion coming out as all right, let's see if it happens. And I think in that dead space, you have one of two decisions to make. You can either run away from God in that dead space, or you can run to God in that dead space. And I remember thinking, God, come hell or high water, we're gonna get through this thing. This is the most painful thing that I'm ever gonna go through in my life. But come hell or high water, I'm not leaving this thing without you. You're gonna get me through it. I'm gonna trust that you're the God who says you're faithful, and the God who says he loves me, and the God who says he's for me, and that he's gonna prosper this thing forward. And that's what I decided to do with the dead space. I think what God has been doing inside of me is teaching me about physical, emotional, and spiritual health altogether. There are places and spaces that God wanted me to get to, and I couldn't get there because my body was unhealthy. And this season has taught me that I need to be healthy, not just spiritually, not just emotionally, not just physically, but I need to be healthy in all three of those things. And if I'm not, it's really hard to do what God has asked you to do. His plan is just a lot different than I thought it is, and the act of surrendering what you think your life should look like, it's really hard to do that, and it's kind of like do I really want to let go? Do I really? And then when you do, there's like this peace that comes over you that I don't know if I can really explain outside of, it felt like 1,000 pounds fell off my shoulder. But I feel like this season, he stripped me of a lot of things that were holding me back that I didn't think were holding me back. Like he used this season to refine me in ways that I didn't know I needed to be refined in. And the hope is that if we've ever had loss in this life, it's going to be restored to us if we're a believer. I mean, I love Jesus, and he's enough for me to say yes to him and eternal life, but getting to meet my 6 babies in heaven one day, I mean, there's so much hope in that. I may not ever get this thing redeemed down here. And if it never gets redeemed, which I believe it will, but even if it doesn't, there's still hope that there's 6 babies that I'm going to meet one day. And that reunion is going to be incredible. It's going to be worth all the pain and all the suffering on this life. I mean, that's hope for one day. But there's hope for today that God's not done writing my story. And I know he's a redemptive God. There's not one thing that's not going to be redeemed. And there's hope that God is always for me. He's always working in me and through me. And there's an upper story that I may not understand yet, but it's going to be revealed. And when it's revealed, it's going to bring me into a place where it was worth it the entire time. There's a hope that in the middle of everything, God has still been enough. Like he still satisfies me. Even though I don't have children yet, like he still satisfies me completely. When the presence of God touches me in prayer, when the presence of God surrounds me when I'm crying, when the presence of God is right in the middle, when Andrew's just holding me, I can have hope in Jesus because there's just a peace that surpasses all understanding. It's not from this earth, and it comes and it overwhelms me, and it's just like that reminder that God is enough. Like I believe I'll be blessed one day, but even if I never see that blessing on this side of heaven, he's still enough for me, and that's the ultimate hope.
Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. Oh, great is your faithfulness to me. Oh, great is your faithfulness to me. Let's stand all over the sanctuary. God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant, faithful
faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven to do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. God from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. History can prove there's nothing you can do. Faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Oh, yeah, my anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. He'll never let me down. Oh, I still bless you in the middle of the storm, in the middle of my trial. I still bless you when I'm in the middle of the road and I don't know which way to go. I still bless. I've got a reason to bless your name. You've been faithful. You've been faithful. I'll bless your name. I'll bless your name. Come on, sing it out. Great is your faithfulness to me. Yeah, great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. I put my faith in Jesus. Can you lift your hands in his presence right here? My anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Oh, I put all my faith and trust in Jesus. My anchor to the ground. He's my hope. He's my hope and firm foundation. He will never let me down. He'll never let me down. Release a praise with your voice. Hallelujah. I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. You say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. I believe. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. I believe, oh, I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I
Are you guys believing God for anything? Just let me see you wave your hand. Yeah, me too. They say this mountain can't be moved. They say these chains will never break. But they don't know you like we do. There is power in your name. We've heard that there is no way through. We've heard the tide will never change. They haven't seen what you together and rejoice. Hallelujah.
Hey, quickly, if you are walking this journey alone, we don't want that to happen. And if you don't have anyone to walk that out, there are so many ways for you to lock arms with somebody. So, online community, post in the chat that you want to learn more about Westside. Here in the Lenexa campus, go to the Commons area, and we'll walk you through a thing called Westside in 4. Speedway, similarly. If you're like, you know what? Like Becca said, come hell or high water, I'm with you in this, God. Well, guess what the high water might be? It could be baptism, right? As a symbolic sign of going, I'm all in. I've been half in. I'm going to go all in. So post in the chat box that you want to do that. Go down here, Speedway campus, and join the people in the red shirts and go, hey, I want to process that. Go out in the Commons here at Lenexa. If you want to pray, similarly, Speedway, post it in the chat box. Go to the prayer room and join our prayer team. Now, how many of you, as you were worshiping and standing here in this moment, how many of you, this like really bugged you that the letters still, and you're like, will you please put it back in its rightful order? And my answer is no. We're going to leave it up here. In fact, I want to lean into it. In fact, I want to ask you, it's a suggestion, but grab your phones. I want you to take a picture of this, just as it is. And I'll tell you why in a moment. And if you're on the sides here, you can take it off the screen here. Here's why I want you to take this with you. If we've described your Uncharted journey, whether it's infertility or anything else, number one, I want you to know and have permission and feel validated in that this is what it looks like and feels like to walk the journey that you're in. And you're not doing anything wrong. And this isn't because you don't have faith. This is actually because you are practicing faith. When I go back to Hebrews chapter 11, and it says about Sarah, and by faith, even Sarah. That word even is only for Sarah. Why? Not because like even Sarah, like even a girl could. No, that's not it. It's a word of emphasis, saying given her pain, given her journey, being uprooted, abandoned, hurt, unhinged, even still, she considered him faithful. So I just want to say to you, if this is what it looks like, all scrambled like, this is you practicing your faith right now. It's messy, it's untidy, it is unfinished, and you can't control it. And the feelings that you feel, feeling maybe a little desperate, feeling forsaken, sometimes forgotten, questioning God, sometimes cursing Adam like the psalmists do. I want you to know, come hell or high water, this is you. You're here, aren't you? This is what faith sometimes looks like and feels like. Even Sarah, even you. And what's our job on the Uncharted journey? Is it to do it perfectly? Is it to be great in it? No, it's simply to do the very next thing that Sarah did. Consider him faithful. That's our only job. We collaborate with him in this journey. We can't control it, but we join him and we consider him faithful. Even at times when you feel faithless, all undone inside, angry, mad. You're living the psalmist life. You're living the lament of so many that have followed Jesus and suffered in their journeys too. You're in the hall of fame of faith. This is you practicing your faith. So let's leave it unscrambled, or let's leave it scrambled for a while, shall we? Just to name that this is where I am, and that I can't put things in their right and respectful order. Only who can? Only the one who is faithful. Only he can. And to be from that end to end up on the other end, it will be surprisingly different. And who knows what the growth in your discomfort will be? Who knows what the fruit will actually produce? But he's the faithful one. And so we go today knowing, okay, I'm not crazy. And I'm held. And he's got this. come hell or high water, yeah. And so, church, today, may the Lord bless you and keep you even when you feel unhinged. May the Lord's face shine upon you and be gracious to you when you find yourself being ungracious to others in your own pain. May the Lord's countenance always be turned towards you when at times you want to turn away. And may He, in the moments when it feels futile, may He bring you the peace of heaven. May it fall upon you like a blanket, like a shield, like a comforter. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we all say together, amen.
Hey, what's up? Westside Anywhere. Hi, this is Dan. He's on stage.
Dan
This is
Deeble.
Trish. She's also on stage. I'm not on stage. They don't let me do that. But I'm excited. My family is home, and I'm gonna show. They don't know that I'm gonna show this, but this is my daughter.
Hi, family.
Come back. Come on. Oh, can we tell?
Yeah.
Oh, she's getting
Oh,
it.
honey.
She's worshiping. Yes, I love it.
Okay, so she's holding up her hand. How old is she?
She's 4.
Yeah.
My son's probably throwing
Amazing.
himself down the stairs in the background. So my wife's taking a picture and running.
That's
but
weird.
oh man, what a great message.
Yes, indeed.
So we'll answer Jolene's question and Chris's question here in a minute. But Trish, I wanted they see you on stage, but they've
Yeah.
seen you a few times back here. But for you, when you look at the story of Sarah, where it's uprooted, abandoned, hurt, laughing, where do you see yourself on that journey right now where you are?
Right now I'm on the other side of the promise, but I've been Sarah. You know, I've been hurt, I've been abandoned, and it's you know, by people most of the time, you know, that we love, but I fought through it. I was courageous, and I was just telling. It's funny because I didn't even know that we were going to Abraham and Sarah in the Uncharted. But probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were huddled up for prayer, and I spoke briefly about Sarah and Abraham and just how, you know, just holding on to God's promises and living in what He said that He's going to do for you. Most of the time, we let everything around us, consume our spirits, take over, get us down and depressed, and sometimes they don't want to be bothered. Yeah. So I've been all those things, and as a result, I didn't want to go to church, I didn't want to sing, I didn't want to do what I'm doing now, serving. And I think because I had an outlook on, okay, Trish, well, God said this about you. Identity, seeing myself how He sees me, and then taking on you've been hurt, you've been all these things, but remember what I said. And if I keep that in the forefront of my mind, it's easy to, not always easy, but it's just easier to go through life, and the challenges that may come. So I've been Sarah, and in some areas I still am, but you know, I'm working toward the promise.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really good. Well, here's a question from Chris. In the midst of the storm, with the letters flying around and we have nowhere to land and the earth is moving beneath us, what things can we do? Don't make it worse. Sorry, I've been in student ministry for like a decade, and sometimes I tell, if you're making a mistake or you're in something, just don't make it worse.
Exactly.
That's my own bet. But what would you say?
There's a song that says, "Move with the cloud." It's the cloud of glory is moving. So it's almost like the same thing when you move with the cloud, the spirit, while it's flowing. I would say move with the storm, because sometimes being stagnant and complacent in the middle of something, that's where you're going to be. Yeah. There's no growth. There's no restoration. There's no healing taking place. So I would say, again, while I was in my Sarah phase, I had to continue on. So it's not a matter of giving up, stopping, but like you said, letters flying around, nowhere to land, and everything is still going on beneath you. Stay on the wall and don't come down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dan, how did it feel to mess up those letters? Does that bother you that you messed up all the letters, or is that fun?
I wanted to be more destructive.
Yeah.
But we got to keep those letters
2 more weeks.
2 weeks, apparently, tied.
I
I want to kick them over.
Yeah.
That was going to be very destructive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dan, you mentioned a little bit. So Jolene's question: what's the best way to walk with others when we don't understand or haven't experienced an uncharted walk? Which you kind of said, just be there and listen with them. Mm-hmm. You mentioned your story. You're a few years on from that particular point in your life. Mm-hmm. What would you say to somebody that is in that moment that you were
Specifically with
ago?
infertility?
Yeah.
Yeah, so and Becca and I were talking about that. For the man, it is also very painful, and it's a very helpless feeling because you want to be able to come alongside your bride, and you don't know how.
Yeah.
It's not a physical pain, like I'm thinking about miscarriage in particular. Whereas things are happening physiologically in your wife's body, for you, you're not experiencing those things, and all the more you want to help, you want to shield, you want to protect.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this isn't true. Everyone's different, but by and large, we want to be fixers. We want to be problem solvers.
Yeah.
We want to take the pain away. So. If the question is how do we walk with somebody in that, I think in particular, guys, we have to talk. We're not good at it. Who are my trusted friends that I can go with and just say, this hurts, and to actually speak our emotions, and vulnerability as a pathway to healing, and so if for any men out there that this is your journey, and I just want to validate, it's no less. It's differently painful, and yet it is very real. And so find those places where you can seek the care and counseling, or trusted friends that you can just kind of be mad sometimes at God. I think that is a faith-filled thing, because you believe He is and He can do something about it. And you're like, why can't you?
Yes.
And I think, as we said earlier, there's a shifting where you're mad with Him. Because He's fighting for you too.
Sure.
Awesome.
What would you say, Trish?
Ooh, everything that that you just said.
How have you walked with people through stuff? Because you got friends in your life.
Absolutely.
And they go through stuff that you
it's
don't know.
holding their hand, literally, with the passing of just my brother-in-law now, needing to be there for my sister-in-law and the children.
Yeah.
Even just with that as a recent, you stay in communication, you reach out, you literally cast your cares on them, because you want them to know that you care for them, and you want them to know that they have community around them. So our group of friends, we just intensify the love. Yeah. We go above and beyond. If you're hungry, you don't have to be. I'm still getting you food because you may be, Yeah. So it's just exuding the love you already had for them, but adding the love of Christ with it, and you'll find that they'll get through their grieving processes or whatever it is that they go through quicker and in a sane mind, in a sound mind. Yeah.
I heard something recently that everyone's pain is maximum to them, and so while you may be experiencing a different pain,
right? That's good.
So
it's all relative.
Just live in that somebody's going through it. Just be with them. Right.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you so much for the encouragement. Hopefully, this is a very serious topic, but
indeed,
just give it to God. Just say, God, I need you in this moment. Just show up. Just show up and yell at him, scream at him.
Toss the letters around. But to conclude the verse is, cast your cares on Him before He cares for you, and that's sometimes not always easy. But Dan Deeble said it. We serve the Almighty God. Like, let me just give it to you. I know you can handle it. Yeah. But just live free. Live in the abundance of Christ, and don't weigh your mind down so much of what's happening around you. Live in the eternal promise that He's gonna come back, and we have a place to go for eternity. So.
Yeah, I
I like that. Yeah, Becca mentioned that it'll all be restored in the
Yes,
end. That's the hope that
absolutely.
we have. So, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for the conversation. I appreciate it. They're going to jump out. They got one more. So if this spurred a question in you, make a little comment, go make some brunch, and come back. And we'll chat for a little bit, but we got to go fix those letters. So
yes,
we'll see you guys at Westside Anywhere. Go check that out.
If you'd like prayer for anything, hit the request prayer button or put pray for me in the comments or chat. We have a team of people who are ready to pray for you right now. If you've accepted Jesus and crossed that line of faith and want to show everyone that you are His now through baptism, we would love to help you celebrate that profession of faith from anywhere. Simply let us know by clicking the I want to be baptized button in the chat or by typing in the comments or chat, I want to be baptized. For more interaction throughout the week, we hope you'll check out our Westside Anywhere Facebook group. Every day, we pray for each other, go through the scriptures, and encourage one another. You can be part of our community every single day. Now go be Jesus Church anywhere you are.